Albert Einstein, the famous German-Swiss physicist, was born on March 14, 1879 in Ulm, Germany. He worked at a Jewish family with a history and started learning mathematics from a young age. At the age of 16, Einstein was expelled from school and sought to study at various universities across Europe. With the publication of his theories about special and general relativity, Einstein became world famous. By presenting these theories, he made great changes in our understanding of the world. Throughout his life, Einstein sought world peace and justice. He emphasized on the fight against war and nuclear weapons and wrote many letters to world leaders to sensitize the world community to these issues. When Albert Einstein, the famous German scientist, died on April 18, 1955 at the Princeton Hospital in the United States, Thomas Harvey, the person in charge of the autopsy, after fulfilling his original mission, did a crazy thing. He removed Einstein's brain from the skull and stole. When Albert Einstein was 76 years old, he died in his sleep at our organs and removed it from the skull. Dr. Harvey then weighs Einstein's brain. The weight of the brain was 1230 grams, a little less than the average brain weight of an adult man, which is 1,300 grams. But the question is, what results did they achieve by doing this? Did the researchers discover a secret? Were they able to find the reasons for Einstein's genius by taking out his skull? To find all the questions, you have to travel to the past. So, if you're ready, let's start the story of how Einstein's brain was stolen, who is known as the genius of history, and answer these questions and doubts. So stay with me. Hello, my name is Abbas and welcome to the Black Mastery Box channel. I try to make the best video and the highest quality video with the good family of Black Mastery Box. So, if you are not a member of our family, I suggest that you become a member so that I can increase your general information from 0 to 100. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879 at 11:30 a.m. local time in a Jewish family in the city of Ulm in Württemberg, Germany. At the time of birth, Albert's mother was very worried because his head was so big and he had a strange posture. Although with his growth, the size of his head was less visible, but it is clear from his photos that his head was bigger than his body. This feature in people with large heads is called benign big head, which has nothing to do with disease or cognitive problems. Albert Einstein was never a child prodigy and even took a long time to be able to speak, which worried his parents a lot. In the biography of Albert Einstein, he was very interested in music and started learning the violin at the age of 5, and this young genius had developed a great interest in this instrument and continued to play it in his young years for the rest of his life. Einstein also joined their family business, but due to their bankruptcy, they had to move to northern Italy, and it was there that the young Einstein wrote an article that is now known as his first scientific article. This paper investigated the nature of the ether, and this hypothesis was based on a description of how light travels through space, and was later rejected by Einstein. And it is interesting to know that Albert Einstein published more than 300 scientific articles until the end of his life. In 1900, Einstein graduated from the Polytechnic University of Zurich in Switzerland with a degree in teaching physics. He had considerable talent in theoretical physics courses, but his math grades were not that good. Later, when he was older, he said about this issue, "It was not clear to me as a student that the complex knowledge of the fundamental rules of physics is so closely tied to the complex methods of mathematics." Einstein met Maliva when he was studying at the Polytechnic University in Zurich, Switzerland, who was his physics classmate, but he never finished his studies. They were married in 1903. Their first son was named Hans Albert Einstein. But even with his physics teaching degree, he could not start teaching at a university and gave up trying to continue his doctoral studies. Einstein had an illegitimate daughter with Mileva Merrick, who he later married. In 1902, a year before their marriage, Mileva gave birth to a daughter named Liesl, whom Einstein never met and whose fate remains unknown. After marrying Mileva Merrick, they had 2 sons. After famous scientist Einstein separated from his wife due to being cold, and Einstein married his cousin named Elsa. Einstein's studies and research results made him a well-known person in scientific circles at the age of 26. One of Einstein's controversial experiences was studying the atomic bomb and proposing its construction to the U.S. president. Of course, he later realized the irreparable dangers of this scientific discovery and, together with Bertrand Russell, took serious measures to prevent the development of this deadly weapon. Albert Einstein was a German theoretical physicist and creator of the theory of relativity. He is considered one of the pillars of modern physics and quantum mechanics, and he made his name in the history of science by developing the famous mass-energy relationship formula, E=mc². In 1921, Einstein received the Nobel Prize in Physics for his extensive activities in theoretical physics, especially the discovery of the law of the photoelectric effect. The law of photoelectric effect became one of the foundations of quantum theory. Einstein did an extraordinary thing during the impending World War. Despite his cold relationship with his wife and the start of the First World War, he managed to make one of the greatest scientific advances of the 20th century in 1915, the theory of general relativity. Finally, he died on April 18, 1955. In 1955, a man named Thomas Edward Harvey stole the brain of Albert Einstein, one of the greatest scientists of the 20th century. Harvey was a technician at Princeton University and illegally acquired Einstein's brain after his death in 1955 for further research on his brain. In order to steal Einstein's brain, Harvey must break into the hospital where he died. By destroying the lock on the door of the adjacent room, he penetrated into the room where Einstein's brain was stored and took his brain through a cut. After this incident, Harvey sent the brain to 2 of his friends who were scientists, and they examined Einstein's brain. This illegal action also prompted Einstein's family to sue Harvey and seek the return of his brain. After several months of follow-up, Einstein's brain was returned to his family and finally buried next to his body in his family home in Switzerland. This incident not only caused a crisis in Harvey's life, but is considered as a major incident in the history of medicine. Although this incident, due to the illegality of Harvey's action and some legal problems, caused it to be known as a mistake, it is still considered one of the most interesting stories in the history of science. After stealing Einstein's brain, Harvey continually ran into legal trouble. He spent 10 months in prison for brain theft and was released on parole. But in 1970, Harvey was again arrested and sent to prison for stealing several pharmaceutical products. Although Harvey sought to learn more about how the brain works by stealing Einstein's brain, his act was close to insanity for many people. For many science lovers, this incident is considered as a bloody destruction of a genius in the history of science. It was Einstein, and he had his brain in his possession without the permission and approval of his family. After news broke that Einstein's brain had been stolen, Harvey ordered that various parts of his brain be cut into smaller pieces, which would be useful for many scientists' subsequent research. Although a number of parts of Einstein's brain were obtained by Harvey and others and placed around the world for examination and research, none of these efforts could help us to search for more secrets about the workings of his brain. But despite this, Einstein's brain is still known and studied as one of the most prominent brains in the history of science. After Harvey's death in 2007, Einstein's brain was handed over to the University of California's Body Donation Program in Los Angeles, where it was officially made available to scientists. In 2010, the British journal Lancet Neurology published the results of the latest research on Einstein's brain. According to this study, Einstein's brain was different from normal brains in some aspects. For example, the combination of nerve cells in some areas of his brain was higher than normal. Also, the dimensions of some parts of his brain were larger than usual. However, these researchers have not yet clarified anything about the way Einstein's brain worked, and none of the secrets that this great man has covered to the world of science have been revealed. While countless researchers have tried to understand more about the workings of his brain, no one has been able to find the right answers. On the other hand, Einstein's extraordinary performance along with his worldwide fame has served as a source of inspiration for many people in the world of science and technology and continues to be influential. For many people, Einstein was and is an icon of science and imagination, and the miracles that he gave to the world of science during his life. Ultimately, Einstein's brain alone cannot explain all the success he had in his life. In addition to mental abilities, he had an extraordinary effort and perseverance that made him always pursue his dreams. At the same time, his love for science and constant study led him to greater and newer discoveries. Therefore, the man who could change the world of science with his unique mental performance is still respected, and his brain is known as a symbol of human abilities in the field of science and knowledge. The difference between Einstein's brain and other people's in newly discovered images. After taking multiple images, the brain was divided into 240 separate pieces, most of which are stored at the Princeton University Medical Center. Most of the photographs taken of Einstein's brain have disappeared over the past half-century, but recently 14 photographs have been acquired by the National Museum as part of the possessions of Thomas Harvey, the pathologist who photographed the scientist's brain. Health and Medicine is located in Silver Spring. These brain images were analyzed by Florida State University anthropologist Dean Falk. According to Falk, the frontal cortex of the world's physics genius is completely different from the brain of ordinary people, and this difference is probably related to Einstein's ability and genius. The overall size and asymmetric shape of the brain is normal, but the frontal cortex, parietal lobe, occipital cortex, and somatosensory membrane are completely different. The results of this finding have been published in Brain magazine.